Today is not just a day little showers of blessing, but it is a day marked with still determination. A determination by members of the President of Liberia, the umbrella organization of journalists in this country, to wrest our global institution from the hands of individuals who have dared our institution along the path of morality, failure, and have want to drown the voice of this global institution in a way that is despicable, to say the least. It is this true determination to restore the dignity of our global institution, to make it a vibrant and respectable voice once again in this society that has brought us here. And it is because of this true determination that we must all applaud ourselves as we gather here to restore the dignity of the President of Liberia. At this time, we'll call out someone who we can refer to as an erudite editor, a believer in the true essence of press freedom, a man whose work speaks for itself. He is a man committed to this cause. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than George Badu.
Thank you very much. Well, members and guests of the high table, professional colleagues of the media community, we are glad that we are here today to witness the unveiling of a serious man, to witness the unveiling of a man who is ready and prepared to redeem the press union of Liberia. We are here to witness the unveiling of an individual who wants to restore that advocacy role for which the press union of Liberia was established. The press union, as far as we know, has gone dead. Who can redeem it is the person who comes to unveil. So on behalf of the strategic committee, of the petitioning committee, of the Julius Kanubah Liberia Presidency, I want to welcome all of you here to today's program. As we sit and listen, even though you came here or you are here already decided that you support his candidacy, we know you not leave from here with funny thoughts. So to be short, you are all welcome.
Thank you ever so much, George Badu. We will ask that you please share the live stream. If you're online, also share it so that more and more people can follow us as we embark on this enterprise of restoring the dignity of the President of Liberia. When I call up to the podium a lady who is a reflection of the strength of a lady in the media. Ladies and gentlemen, for our official welcome remarks, our introduction of the program, actually, we call Beatrice C.A., Phone Manager, G15.
Let me clear the air. I'm no longer the manager of Radio Bourgeois, but I'm the CEO of Soul Saving Online Television Liberia. Official petitioning ceremony of Honorable Julius Kanubah for the Press Union of Liberia Presidency. Wednesday, September 7, 2022, held at the William V. Stockman High School at about this time. My fellow colleagues of this noble fraternity, stakeholder of the media, civil society organization, visiting guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to introduce this unique ceremony today. What you see here this afternoon is as a result of a broader consultation mission that took us to the length and breadth of Liberia, engaging media, practitioners, and members of the Press Union of Liberia. Our consultation greatly informed us that there is a dire need for change of the hem of power at the Press Union of Liberia. In these engagements, we solicited feedback, suggestions on how the PUL can be a better union for all media practitioners in Liberia. Our engagements also informed us about the need for a participatory PUL and the need for inclusiveness in the media-related activities ranging from decision-making and empowerment of our members. As a result of these fruitful consultations, we have gathered here today to consummate and put into reality what we collected from across the country and to make it more effective. At today's ceremony, we will have a strong position statement read by a member of our petition committee, Ms. Sewaba. This statement will take into consideration why there is a need for a new PUL. After her presentation, we will sit attentively and listen to our consensual candidate, Julius K. Kanubah. As he responds to the petition, which we believe will be a sounding acceptance to our call. We appreciate your time here today and ask that you join us in the not too long distant future to make this project a success. Thank you.
Success, we say success. Success, we say success. And as we embark on the journey of success, we also want to recognize our brothers and sisters from the county who are also following and committed to this cause. And some of them are here, we also recognize them. You are with us in this cause. So we said this is a mission, actually, to redeem the Press Union of Liberia. And as we embark on this mission, we are in the trenches together. Yes, we are in the trenches together. Together to secure victory. Together to celebrate victory. But why do we see this as a cause for which we should be in the trenches together? As a cause for which we should celebrate victory together? As a cause for which we should put ourselves on the line to ensure that the PUL is redeemed? The answer to all of these questions is carved in a petition to be delivered by none other than the ever-potent Silver.
Greetings everyone and all protocols observed. A formal petition by concerned members and stakeholders of the Press Union of Liberia on today, Wednesday, September 7, 2022. Fellow members and stakeholders of the Press Union of Liberia, ladies and gentlemen of the press, fellow citizens and other residents of Liberia. Established by a few thoughtful, brave, and agile men and women of the pen on September 30th, 1964, the main goal of the Press Union of Liberia has been to serve Liberian journalists, media and communication professionals, as well as institutions throughout the country. Considering an unprecedented upsurge in the membership over the last few years, the PUL has oversight obligation for handling issues arising from the practice of journalism and development in the face of mounting demand for quality and good taste of journalism across Liberia. Primarily, the PUL's role is to protect defend, strengthen the rights of journalists and members of the union, as well as support professionalism and social responsibility for the development of the greater democracy and freedom of Liberia, but also to advocate for improved working conditions for all journalists in the country through negotiating with media employers relative to the salaries and other working conditions of journalists and media workers. During its pre-war status and immediately after the Liberian Civil War, the union remained one of the strongest voices advocating for democracy, human rights, social justice, freedom, press freedom, free speech, and expression, among other basic media-related societal value issues. Notwithstanding, in recent years, particularly from January 17 to present, the Press Union of Liberia continues to display a bleak or damaging image to the public by choosing a path of complete disconnect from its modus operandi. This has led the union into conflict, disunity, formation of fragmented media groups, abuse of public trust, poor, unintended advocacy and leadership, reducing the union to a mere social club, neglecting its main role as the voice of the voiceless, staging needless engagements with selected individuals with no proven human rights and freedom, press freedom records, no innovation to get the union's headquarters up and protect the future of journalism in Liberia, among other slothful performances. In addition, the union in recent years and up to now continues to flood its full membership with dozens of unqualified media workers and non-media personnel, thus violating the Constitution and reducing the morale and spirit of the once powerful PUL. An unaudited and overstaffed membership has rendered the union insignificant, a situation that has now claimed the attention of various founding members, stakeholders, senior members, and even other civil society and public sector actors, both in Liberia and abroad. Towards the impending November 2022 Congress, which would be occasioned by elections of new Corps of Officers, we as members and stakeholders of the Press Union of Liberia strongly believe both associate and full membership categories of the union must be thoroughly reviewed by independent body involving credible independent media and civil society actors. Such a flooded membership list cannot guarantee a certified free, fair, and transparent elections in the journalist union. We are also of the strong view that the Press Union of Liberia urgently needs a new direction of development to address the manifest gaps of credibility, integrity, and dignity confronting the current leadership vis-à-vis our union. Now and therefore, we, the members and stakeholders of the PUL, have reflected on undertaking extensive constructive consultations and engagements across Liberia, do hereby officially petition Mr. Julius as a consensus candidate for president in the ensuing period of November 2022 elections. Highly acclaimed and respected as one of the brilliant, unwavering, towering, and top-notch journalists of our generation, Julius Kanubah is a two-time award-winning journalist of the Press Union of Liberia with nearly 2 decades of professional work and education in journalism, media and communications, but also economics, development, and governance. a former consequential elected officer of the PUL. Julius Kanubah is a knowledgeable professional and a scholar practitioner, a unifier, an advocate for journalists' rights and improved conditions of work, and contemporary democratic practitioner. Democracy and development, with work experiences in international journalism, diplomacy, and development cooperation, as well as leadership. Julius Kanubah III is a product of the International Visitors Leadership Program, the Edward R. Monroe Program for Journalists of the United States Department of State and Bureau of Education and Culture. Thanks to the U.S. Embassy in Liberia for the honor. Above all, as an institution with a disciplined and matured character, Julius Kanubah is an impartial journalist advocate and with high pedigree, with developmental orientation, national and global understandings. In light of the current desperate state of affairs of our nation and the imperatives to bring back its credibility, integrity, and dignity, we are of the strongest conviction that Julius Kanubah's leadership at PUL is destined for greater heights through the restoration of an independent stance of the Union, re-establishing public trust in the PUL, bringing back all the disenchanted members, innovative ideas, a strategic plan for the realization of a strong, vibrant, and developed media sector vis-a-vis the PUL. On behalf of the petitioners, we hereby present this petition to Mr. Julius Kanubah III, a journalist with a credible reputation, on the 7th day of September 2022 in Monrovia, Liberia. May God bless us and save our nation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sheila, thank you. Restoring the dignity of the PUL, mission possible. When I say mission possible, say possible. Restoring the dignity of the PUL, mission possible. Restoring the dignity of the PUL, mission possible. This is possible. Yes. Now we have obviously stated in our petition the reasons why we have garnered the undiluted courage to embark on the task of restoring the dignity of the President of Liberia. It is now incumbent upon the men in whom we have trusted our institution to shepherd for the next 3 years to come and tell us what is his vision for the PUL. Mr. Julius Kanubah.
Officials and members of the Press Union of Liberia, my journalist colleagues, sorry, the camera people, I can't see everyone, and senior media managers, editors, and members of the civil society, my family, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow colleagues. Thank you very much, Siwa. It was a very powerful petition. It is a privilege and honor again to be with you. members and stakeholders of our noble institution, the Press Union of Liberia. The union is the mother of all journalists, media workers, and communication practitioners, as well as media institutions and organizations in Liberia. I am exceedingly grateful and incredibly humbled by the petition of members and stakeholders of our union. Before I proceed, I would like for us to observe a moment of silence for our colleagues who have departed. Just recently, we lost one of our colleagues at the Liberia Broadcasting System, Mr. Moba Kizzy. The LBS, to the LBS family, please accept our sympathy. And to the family of Moba Kizzy, we extend our condolences. You can sit, please. Considering the weight and magnitude of the petition and the petitioners, I am obliged to have a definitive response, void of any delay. Because in times of institutional leadership crisis and change, delays can be dangerous and consequential. The Press Union of Liberia, as registered in the petition, is a professional organization of journalists, media workers, and communication practitioners, founded in late 1964. It is grounded in the nationally globally value of democracy, which as an institutional enrichment of governance is underpinned essentially by freedom of the media, freedom of expression, and speech. Since 1964, but until recently, the PUL has been a bulwark protecting, defending, and strengthening the rights of journalists, as well as supporting professionalism and social responsibility aimed at the betterment of Liberian journalists and media workers, and the full institutionalization of democracy in Liberia in the quest for inclusive national development. Therefore, the quest for new PUL leadership to promote and institutionalize the virtues of credibility, integrity, and dignity is valid and respectable. It is a quest grounded in the very essence of democracy, which is about rights of participation and opposition, or the expression of individual or collective preferences. Consequently, I, Julius Kanubah, do hereby unconditionally and wholeheartedly accept your legitimate petition for the presidential. Your petition is unprecedented in the most recent history of our union, especially in light of the move by members and stakeholders of the union to reach a decision to petition one of their accounts. Accordingly, I do not take this petition lightly. In accepting the petition, I am deeply aware that I am not a candidate of inheritance or a candidate feeling extremely desperately entitled to the position of PUL president. But rather, I tend not to disagree with the petition that we can rightly be designated as a consensus candidate. Certainly, we cut across all the multiple and varied interests and cleavages in the PUL, not because of our need, but because of the impeccability of our character, our valuable social interactions, respect for fellow colleagues, seniors, and elders, our extensive social networks, our cool-headedness, decent behavior and attitude over the last 2 decades. In fact, I should remind all of us that in 2016, members and stakeholders I should remind all of us that in 2016, members and stakeholders of our union were drafting us to becoming the next president of the Press Union of Liberia, thanks to female journalist David Father William, who was one of the lead architects. Even though we did not participate or contest in any other leadership position or contest in 2016, it has been 7 years now since our colleagues have been at the union. And our union has been the hands of our colleagues and friends. How they have performed and conducted themselves is something out for the jury. That is, if we don't already know. For us, we believe our union is confronted by significant challenges, and unless we work to take back control of our union, the institution we call the Press Union of Liberia risk extermination and may the increasing practice of institutional disengagement by members, but also of institutional decline and malaise. In accepting this petition, it is important to make clear the direction we intend to take the Press Union of Liberia, genuinely and effectively. In this regard, a bold program of institutional reforms and development, bordering on 6 pillars and 30 years. Again, I repeat, giving the sound system. In the acceptance of this petition, it is important to make clear the direction we intend to genuinely and effectively take the Press Union of Liberia. In this regard, a bold program of reforms. Sorry, you will get it. It's okay? Okay. Let me go back about this. Sorry. In accepting this petition, it is important to make clear the direction we intend to genuinely and effectively take the Press Union of Liberia. In this regard, a bold program of institutional reforms and development bordering on 6 pillars are pertinent. First, under our leadership, we will institute a system of accountable leadership. We believe it is time for the Press Union of Liberia to meaningfully engage and involve and provide members with projects and implementation activities and the associated financial costs and benefits. This applies to all internal and external media development interventions, as well as democracy promotion programs in Liberia. Not least, accountability for the membership fees and dues collected by the union from its members, whether full, associate, affiliate, or institutional member. We aim to establish a mechanism of accountability between the leaders and the members. For too long, leaders of the Press Union of Liberia have not been accountable over project implementation and the finances of the union. Secondly, our second program of reforms is impartial advocacy. Since 1964, the union has stood the test of time as an institution engaged in social activism for the public good, void of partiality, not until the recent few years. We need to bring back in the impartial advocacy stance of the Union on issues involving journalists, media practitioners, and media entities, as well as nationally oriented issues that impinge upon political stability and economic development, such as poverty, inequality, and human insecurity in Liberia. We believe the PUL has a role in the regulation and the conduct of journalists, national and local actors. We will aim to ensure the prevention of ethical violations, the enforcement of ethical journalistic principles, and the reward and sanctioning of those who fall foul. In our advocacy, we will not be anti-government, but also we will not blindly support any public policies or actions not in the public interest. Our third agenda for the PUL is the construction of the PUL headquarters. Since the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, the Press Union of Liberia was given $100,000 United States dollars meant for the construction of the headquarters project. In 2008, from 2008 to present, that is in 2022, the Press Union is yet to construct its headquarters. The status of the 100,000 is known to us. Some of us, we've contributed to the debates. For us, in this particular campaign and in this particular leadership structure, we believe that it is time that we move beyond the debates. So what we intend to do is to mobilize resources from the members of the union who will genuinely elect their officials to have the Press Union of Liberia headquarters constructed. But also, we will be open to receiving clean money, whether from government, media development organizations, people in the civil society, or people in the private sector of our country. The present headquarters of our PUL, unfortunately, cannot boast 50 journalists. Now list the 1,166 full members based on the roster of 2019. So we believe it is time for the union to have a headquarters. And this headquarters will be constructed under our administration. It will be a headquarters. That will be constructed by our generation of journalists. So we intend to make the headquarters project our priority, and as a generation of journalist projects, we have a strategy. And that strategy is very simple. Once you have legitimate elected leaders at the Press Union of Liberia, the members will commit themselves to building their headquarters. We will ensure that this is done during our administration. Fourth on our agenda is what we refer to our increased support for women in journalism, media, and communication. The media landscape in our country has expanded since the end of the Civil War in 2003. We are blessed to have many female journalists who have practiced variously in different media institutions. We'd like to applaud the female journalists for the level of work they've done. We intend to work with the Female Journalists Association of Liberia, FIJA, to continue to increase support for women in journalism. Under our administration, we want to institute a policy working with media owners and media managers, editors in the newsroom for women to occupy more leadership positions in the media. We are pleased that some media institutions are already implementing these activities. That is why the management team at LBS, which we have visited, has females. And LBS is now being transformed under the leadership of females. We believe all females in other areas are also working. So we need to increase our support for women. Because some of us men, we have girlfriends or girlfriends, or we have children. And some of these children are our daughters, not relatives who are females. They want to become like you, journalists. Is the environment conducive? Is the environment safe for female journalists? And can you encourage your wife, your daughter, or your relative who is a female to become your journalist? It's a question for every one of us. But increased support to women in journalism, media, and communication will be critical. Fifth on our agenda is impactful media development vis-a-vis journalists' economic empowerment and the forging of good partnerships with government, private, and civil society actors in the country. The issue of media development to have impact on the media landscape in our country, we have to address the issue of institutional capacity building. It's time for a relationship to be built between the members of the union and media development interventions, linking them to journalist capacity building programs. We tend to work in that particular direction. But also the media economy. The economy of the media is small because the economy of Liberia is big, or is small, sorry. But also, we intend to work with different actors to ensure that journalist salaries, the issue of salaries of journalists, the take-home pay, is increased. During the administration of Peter Kokwe, the Grand Cape Council, that is in Rabosport, this issue of the collective bargaining agreement was brought to the table. Since the early 2000s, or the mid 2000s, up to 2010, 2011, 12, 13, 14, and we're in 2022, the collective bargaining agreement has not been further advanced by the leadership of the Press Union of Liberia. And this collective bargaining agreement speaks to the service of conditions of journalists in regard to their salaries, but also to the issue of the health of journalists. Just recently, a debate ensued on social media as to whether media entities are giving media workers health insurance. This is something the collective agreement calls for, but it has not been reached. So we intend to work with media entities in the country, media managers, the editors, and us journalists to ensure that we are insured health-wise. So that whenever we get sick as a journalist, our conditions, especially our medical conditions, will not be made visible to the public. And I want to say, yes. We normally say among us that the first hospital for a sick journalist is the airwaves, because we go on air to appeal for support. Just recently it happened to one of our colleagues. So we need now to ensure that us as media workers, we are insured, and this is possible. If we sit and say it's not possible, it will not happen. But under our leadership, we'll make sure that journalists are insured. So finally, as our sixth agenda is the formations of regional and county-based media hubs across the country. What we call the sub-chapters of the Press Union of Liberia. And this is especially relevant for our colleagues who are in the regions of Liberia, whether north, south, west, east, or central, or whether you can combine the southeastern region and the central region. Our colleagues for too long have been members of the union, and they've not been able to participate effectively and benefit effectively in the governance processes of the Press Union of Liberia. We normally say that they are being taxed without impact, or without feeling the impact of the PUL. The current registration process is on, and those colleagues in the counties who pay their $10 or $25, and they will not benefit from the union. So we believe it's time for the PUL to create structures in the respective counties and regions that will be responsible for the governance of the media community in the respective counties. For example, there was a time that Representative Kanubah and ANC political leader Alex Cummings traveled to Grand Jida County. Sorry, I can say Alex, right? Because not Alex, right? They traveled to Grand Jida County, and one of us, a journalist, went air to say the man who can talk about the president, who can insult the president, is in the county, and they might have incited violence. What the President of Liberia did was to forward the case to the National Media Council. The National Media Council is a centralized body in Monrovia. A journalist who commits ethical violation in Maryland or Grangeville County is being investigated by the Media Council that sits in Monrovia. You can see the challenges and difficulties. It was very difficult to get the journalists in question. He said this to me that there's a need for our police in the counties to have their own leadership, that we work in collaboration with the President of Liberia as a decentralized institutional arrangement. For too long, the President has taken different programs. Out of the President anniversary this year, we celebrated in San Liberia County. After the anniversary, what do? We return to Monrovia, we leave our police. So we intend to make our police functional in the counties to have their leadership. But also the issue of our ID cards. The guys who have to travel from the counties to come to Monrovia to receive, to process their ID cards. Sometimes they have to pass through the county coordinators. And the county coordinators, I should not say it, but sometimes it's getting political. Because if they're not on your side, to register your potential voters can be problematic. So we intend to address some of these issues. But also the taxes that we collect and the media development interventions or programs of the PUL to have to be impactful towards our police. They have to be involved. So we intend to create what we call a knowledge pool so that people in the counties can contribute to their knowledge about community journalism or journalism in their respective counties. So in the coming days and weeks, we shall elaborate on the 6-point agenda as a pathway out of the poverty of leadership, the poverty of journalists, and the poverty of journalism in Liberia. Our agenda, we should say, is inclusive and commendable. It makes us the most commendable consensus candidate with a record of strong will. Our vision is to bring credibility, integrity, and dignity to the PUL and to the media in Liberia. As most journalists and media practitioners believe that the press union of Liberia should and must be like the Liberian National Bar Association.
Yes.
We shall work to raise the bar as a union. To implement our agenda, as we all know, we first have to get elected. Yes. To get elected requires the conduct of a meaningful, credible election in accordance with the principles of free, fair, and transparent election. Key to any elections is the eligibility of participation. In this case, eligibility of membership in the Press Union of Liberia or of our union. The criteria of eligibility for participation in the PUL elections are clearly spelled out in the present PUL's living constitution, first approved in September 1964, reversed and approved in May 1997, and then reversed and approved in October 2000, and further reversed and adopted by the general membership convening in committee room at the Baptist Youth Camp in the city of Pittsville in 2009, under the leadership or chairmanship of P. Alfonso Zion during the administration of Peter Cook. As we embark on this journey, it is extremely critical that as unionists, we do the right thing. The right thing is to establish an independent panel of media and law experts to conduct a thorough audit of the controversial 2019 full membership list For the record, in the lead up to the 2019 elections, in which some of the present incumbents were vying for election or re-election, the full membership figure increased unprecedentedly and suspiciously to 1,666. To 1,166. Disturbingly, but not surprisingly, since our name surfaced in the 2022 PUL leadership conversations, we are aware that some elected officials of the union have been desperately dishing out the PUL membership forms across the country to a group of people or individuals who have not met the eligibility criteria for full membership. We are also aware that rather than the membership committee vetting the renewal and application for membership, some elected officers are taking upon themselves the task of approving full membership while creating barriers for legitimate full members to register in the name of dues payment. This constitutes an act of fraud. And for us, it will be important for an independent panel of experts to be set up to ensure a credible electoral process, but also to conduct a forensic financial audit of the funds generated so far from the membership renewal and application process. This is pertinent because the President of Liberia is tainted by the 2019 elections, which raised the question as to whether those elections of 2019 can be called a legitimate election. We wish to make it clear that there is an ongoing misleading campaign by some desperate individuals aimed at maligning our character and service to the union in our country. The campaign that our Julius Kanubah is new to the media landscape and politics of the PUL is simply ridiculous. Since 2004, I have been engaged with the PUL. Most recently in April 2022, I, along with some colleagues, helped the Press Union of Liberia in taking a position, questioning journalists and media entities over the use of April Fool to fool the public. There is substantially nothing at the PUL that I, Julius Kanubah, I am not aware of, whether historically or contemporarily. Not least, news of a tussle between two elected officials recently. I pledge to fight for the welfare of journalists rather than to fight a fellow elected officer.
Thank you.
Relatedly, there is a misleading campaign that I resigned from the PUL for greener pasture shortly after being elected in November 2010. And our such resignation was done without consultations. My friends and fellow colleagues, we owe all of you and our campaign team a debt of gratitude for electing us as Assistant Secretary General in 2010. It was and remains an honor. On the basis of the overwhelming mandate we got, it is accurate to say that we just served nearly half of our 2-year mandate before we reached a consensus position to push for professional development at the European Union delegation to Liberia. Our bigger aim when we departed was to work with the EU to establish valuable and impactful relationships and linkages between the institutions of the EU and the PUL. Since the EU as a supranational organization promotes freedom of media, freedom of speech, and freedom of expression, just as the PUL. As the first secretary in the political session of the EU delegation, we are proud to say that during our tenure, we ensure that the relations between the EU and the PUL, the EU and journalists, the EU and media entities were enhanced to the extent that the President of the Press Union of Liberia has a series of face-to-face engagements with the EU ambassador and officials to Liberia with respect to media development. Media leaders like Kenneth Best of the Daily Observer, Philip Wisse of the Inquirer, Robin C. of Front Page Africa, Alfonso Tuwe of the New Republic, Donsu of RFI, Jonathan Pele of the BBC, Sherry Adams of the newspaper Family, Augustus Watson of the Authoritative Heritage newspaper, Stanley Seiko of the Analyst, Peter Brown of the Chronicle, and many others are testaments to this strengthened EU and Liberia media relationship. Another best information is that I am a member of certain political parties. This is a mischaracterization. I don't belong to any political party. I've never ever in my life engaged party registration process. I don't belong to the Unity Party. I don't belong to the CDC. I don't belong to the Liberty Party, as some have been able to say. This is a mischaracterization, and those who are feeling such a news, it will shock them to know that I stand as an impartial person. I believe it is time that we have an accountable leadership at the PUL. We believe it is time we have an impartial advocacy role as a union. We believe it is time that we construct the Press Union of Liberia headquarters. We believe it is time that we increase support for women in the media, communication, and journalism. We believe it is time to engage in media development substantially in Liberia. And finally, we believe that we need now to take the Press Union impactfully to our colleagues in the country through the formations and institutionalization of media corps. Now, colleagues, this is a small event. I know many of you have been worried since I was linked to this particular Press Union of Liberia Presidency. I have not spoken, I've been silent for more than 6 months. I'm pleased that you came here today on this petition ceremony, and we count on you. This time, we complete and do our registration process. The registration process is key to having an inclusive leader, an inclusive team, and the PUL for the betterment of our union. I said thank you. God bless the President of Liberia. God save the President.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
So the petitioner ceremony is ongoing. So that's how we end the broadcast here. My name is Kanubah. I've been here with my colleague James, who did film this broadcast.